Based on a true story, on July 18, 2009, in Shenzhen, China, a divorced couple was trying to do their best under a tough arrangement. The father, Tian Wen, was a small business owner who ran a phone and internet shop in his neighborhood. His ex-wife, Xiao Huan, worked an office job. They had one child, a young boy named Tian Peng, and they took turns caring for him week by week. That day, Xiao Huan brought Tian Peng to Tian Wen, because it was his turn to look after their son. Around the same time, Tian Wen was temporarily watching over a friend's internet cafe while the owner stepped out. For a while, things felt normal. Tian Wen and Tian Peng played games together, just passing time like any parent and child would. But then a commotion broke out inside the cafe, and Tian Wen had to step in and deal with it. While that was happening, Tian Peng's friends showed up and invited him to go outside and play. With the cafe still noisy and chaotic, Tian Wen made a quick decision. He let Tian Peng go with the other kids. The children planned to watch people skating nearby. They ended up at a spot by the roadside, focused on the activity, excited and curious. Then, in the middle of it all, Tian Peng noticed something that pulled his attention away immediately. He saw Xiao Huan driving past in her car. Without thinking, Tian Peng took off, running after the car and trying to catch up to his mother. But he was small and the car moved too fast. He kept running anyway, farther and farther until he was no longer close to his friends. Xiao Huan actually noticed him chasing after her. She saw her son behind her, trying desperately to catch up, but she chose to keep driving. Tian Peng ran until he could no longer see the car. It disappeared at an intersection and he was left alone. And that was the moment everything changed. A stranger approached, picked him up, and carried him away. This is where their nightmare begins. This is Dearest. As evening came, Tian Wen realized Tian Peng still had not returned. He started searching everywhere, frantic, checking the area and questioning the children who had taken Tian Peng out to play. They told him Tian Peng had left earlier while they were still outside. Then the parents of those children mentioned something that seemed, at first, like it could explain everything. They said they had seen Tian Peng's mother driving by, so maybe Tian Peng had gone with her. Hearing that, Tian Wen rushed to Xiao Huan's home, angry and convinced she had taken their son without telling him. He went inside immediately to look for Tian Peng, but the boy was not there. Xiao Huan was stunned. It was already 7 p.m., and she had not seen Tian Peng since earlier. That was when Tian Wen finally understood the truth. Their child was gone. Tian Wen tried calling the police right away, but he was told they could not officially process the report yet because Tian Peng had only been missing for about 3 hours. The police insisted they needed to wait until 24 hours had passed, and they instructed Tian Wen to keep searching on his own. So Tian Wen called his friends and begged them to help. Together they searched desperately, even going to the train station to look for any sign of him. What they did not know was that the kidnapper was already there with Tian Peng, and the timing could not have been worse. Before Tian Wen and his friends could catch up, the train left. Xiao Huan was just as panicked. She began searching too, and she called her new husband for help. In the end, they all went back to the police station, pushing for action. This time, the officers pulled up surveillance footage. And there it was, Tian Peng, at the train station, standing alongside the person who had taken him around 7:30 that night. Xiao Huan was furious. She could not understand why the police had refused to help earlier, all because the 24-hour mark had not passed. The officers only repeated the same explanation. They were following procedure. Outside the police station, the tension finally exploded. Overwhelmed with anger and grief, Xiao Huan lashed out at Tian Wen, blaming him for failing to protect their son. The next day, Tian Wen threw himself into action. He recorded a public video and posted announcements online, begging for information. He even offered a reward of 100,000 yuan to anyone who could bring Tian Peng home. But instead of real leads, what he received were cruel phone calls from people trying to scam a desperate father. Time moved on, but for Tian Wen it felt frozen. In 2010, a man contacted him claiming he had found Tian Peng. Filled with hope, Tian Wen rushed to the address he was given. When he arrived, the child waiting for him was not his son. The man had lied because he could not afford to raise his own child and was looking for someone else to take responsibility. Nearly every single day, Tian Wen continued searching. A year passed, yet he still had no idea whether Tian Peng was alive or gone forever. That uncertainty slowly ate away at him. One night, he received a photo that supposedly showed Tian Peng. Someone in another city claimed they had found the boy. Against Yao Quan's warning that the image looked edited and suspicious, Tian Wen chose to believe it. It was the only hope he had left. He traveled there with cash and even carried a weapon just in case. But Xiao Quan had been right. It was a trap. There was no Tianping. A group of men had set him up. When Tianwen realized he had been deceived and tried to escape, they shouted that he was a thief and chased him down. Already broken by the loss of his son, he now found himself targeted by people who saw his pain as an opportunity. Outnumbered and refusing to hand over the money, Tianwen made a desperate choice. He jumped into a river to get away. Miraculously, he survived. Meanwhile, the loss of Tianpeng continued to haunt Xiaohuan as well. She fell into deep stress and began seeing a psychiatrist regularly. Her marriage to her new husband slowly started to crack under the weight of everything. As if things were not difficult enough, Tianwen was later informed that he could no longer rent the kiosk where he ran his business. A new tenant would be taking over. At first, he refused to leave. A part of him was afraid that if Tianpeng ever came back, he might return to that familiar place. But more than a year had already passed. The owner eventually told him he did not even need to worry about the unpaid rent anymore. Around that time, Xiaohuan came to ask if there were any new updates. There were none. Instead, Tianwen invited her to join him somewhere unexpected. They attended a support group for parents who had also lost their children. In that room, filled with shared grief, they listened to other mothers and fathers speak about their pain and their determination never to stop searching. When it was Tianwen's turn, he shared his story too. The message repeated again and again in that meeting was simple. Do not grow tired of looking for your child. For the first time in front of everyone, Xiaohuan admitted something she had never said out loud before. She confessed that she regretted driving away that day when she saw Tianpeng chasing her car. She admitted that she should have stopped. Through tears, she apologized. Not long after, the support group organized a trip together. News had broken that police had uncovered a child trafficking ring, and the parents hoped it might lead them closer to answers. They visited prisons, carrying photos of their missing children, asking inmates one by one if they recognized any of the faces. But no matter how many people they questioned, no useful information came out of it. When they returned from the prison visits, no one had the strength to pretend anymore. The hope they carried there had faded once again. On the bus ride back, Tianwen noticed a truck ahead of them. In the back, he saw a sack that seemed to be moving. His heart raced. He told the others it might be a kidnapped child. Without hesitating, they told the driver to follow it. They chased the truck down and forced it to stop. For a brief moment, it felt like they were about to save someone. But when they opened the sack, it was not a child. It was a protected monkey that the driver had been trying to smuggle. Another false alarm, another emotional crash. Time kept moving forward, even if Tianwen felt stuck in the past. He eventually changed careers and became a street food vendor just to survive. The reward money was increased to 200,000 wen, a sign that he still refused to give up. Then one afternoon, another message came in. Another photo. This time, the child in the picture looked strikingly similar to Tianpeng. Tianwen and Xiaozhuan were accompanied by An Jiang, the leader of their support group, and traveled to another city to meet the person who had contacted them. The man claimed he knew where Tianpeng was living. He said he was not doing this for the reward, only because the parents had already suffered for 3 long years. The journey to the village was long. They arrived early in the morning after taking a taxi deep into a remote area, far from the city and seemingly cut off from the rest of the world. When they reached the house they had been told about, they saw a young boy who looked almost identical to Tianpeng. At first glance, the resemblance was undeniable. But they needed to be sure. As they moved closer, An Jiang quietly called the police to report a possible child abduction case. Up close, they saw a scar on the boy's forehead, the same scar Tianpeng had gotten when he was very young. In that moment, they knew. It was him. Suddenly, a woman appeared. Chaos broke out as Tianwen grabbed the boy and tried to leave. The woman, Hong Qin, ran after them, calling the child by another name, Jie Fang. Her shouting drew the attention of the villagers, who quickly gathered and began chasing the 3 of them. The situation escalated fast. They were nearly beaten by the angry crowd, but just in time the police arrived, called earlier by An Jiang. Hong Qin was taken into custody for questioning. At first, she refused to believe that her husband Ming Fu could be involved in kidnapping. She insisted he had been an honest man. He had died a year earlier. She explained that she was unable to have children. According to her, while working in Shenzhen, Mingfu had been with another woman and later brought a child back to the village. Hong Qin had raised that child as her own. But then the police showed her the surveillance footage. It clearly showed Mingfu carrying Tianpeng at the train station 3 years ago. Faced with undeniable evidence, Hong Qin slowly realized that her late husband had been the main suspect in the abduction. Accepting that truth was almost impossible for her. In another room, Tianpeng was being questioned as well. He could not remember how he had first been taken. He did not remember being kidnapped at all. The only thing he remembered was that Hong Qin was his mother. He also said he was worried about his younger sister being alone and hungry at home. That revelation shocked the officers. Soon after, another child was brought in. And that was when Hong Qin was confronted with a painful discovery. The little girl she had believed to be her daughter was not biologically hers either. Hong Qin repeated what her husband had once told her, that the girl, Jie Fong, had been found abandoned at a construction site and brought home out of kindness. Whether that was the truth or another lie died with Mingfu. Overwhelmed and afraid of losing the child she had raised, Hong Qin attempted to flee. She was eventually caught and taken back into custody. Meanwhile, Xiao Huan and Tian Wen tried to reconnect with Tianpeng, but when they spoke to him, he did not recognize them. He had no memory of his biological parents. For Xiao Huan and Tian Wen, that realization was almost as painful as losing him in the first place. In the end, Hong Qin was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Not for kidnapping, but for obstructing justice after attempting to flee during questioning. As for Jie Fong, the little girl she had raised, the state took custody of her and placed her in an orphanage. She was also suspected of being a trafficking victim, and no DNA match could identify her biological family. 6 months later, Hong Qin was released. The first thing she did was travel alone to Shenzhen. After everything she had been through, only one person filled her thoughts, Jie Fong. By that point, DNA tests had officially confirmed that Tianpeng was indeed the missing son of Tianwen and had been taken 3 years earlier. Hong Qin went straight to the orphanage where Jie Fong was staying. Even though Jie Fong was not her biological child, the bond they shared was real. She had raised her since infancy. But the director of the orphanage refused to let her see the child. The court had not yet decided whether Jie Fong had truly been abandoned or kidnapped by Mingfu. Until a final ruling was made, the child would remain under state supervision. Desperate and unable to stay away, Hong Qin even climbed up from outside the building just to catch a glimpse of Jie Fong in her room.
Mama.
That was the moment her real fight began. She knew she would have to prove that Jie Fong had not been kidnapped. So she went to a lawyer's office where she met Gao Xia. He explained the legal requirements for adoption. The child had to be under 14 and officially abandoned by parents who could not be located. Hong Qin repeated what her late husband had once told her, that Jie Fong had been found abandoned at a construction site where he worked. But Gao Xia explained that a dead man's words could not be used as legal evidence. If she wanted custody, she would have to prove the child had truly been abandoned. Her situation was extremely complicated, especially since Tianpeng's case had already been confirmed as kidnapping. To gather proof, Hong Qin returned to the construction site where her husband used to work. There, she tracked down one of his former co-workers, Li Teng. She asked him whether he had been present when Mingfu supposedly found an abandoned baby. At first, Li Teng confirmed that he had seen it happen. According to him, Jie Fong had indeed been abandoned and was not kidnapped. Back in Shenzhen, life for Tianpeng was far from normal. He still carried habits from village life, like spitting on the ground and relieving himself outside. These small behaviors reminded Xiao Huan and Tian Wen how much time had passed. On top of that, Tianpeng still refused to speak to them. He constantly missed Hong Qin and Jie Fong. All they could do was stay patient and hope he would slowly adjust. Around that time, Tian Wen mentioned that their support group was organizing a public demonstration against child trafficking. He suggested that they bring Tianpeng along, hoping it might help him understand and perhaps reconnect with their shared struggle. On another day, hoping to lift Tianpeng's spirits, Xiao Huan took him to the orphanage to visit Jie Fong. The moment the two children saw each other, their faces lit up. It was clear they still shared a strong bond. They told each other how much they missed Hong Qin, the woman they both knew as their mother. After that visit, Xiao Huan made a life-changing decision. For Tianpeng's happiness, she decided she would adopt Jie Fong so the two children could grow up together again. And for the first time since coming home, Tianpeng reached out and held his mother's hand. But that decision came with consequences. Xiao Huan's marriage began to fall apart. In the past, her husband had asked her to have another child, and she had refused. Now that Tianpeng had returned, she suddenly wanted to adopt another child. He could not accept it. The tension in their home grew too heavy, and eventually he said they would divorce. At the same time, Hong Qin was still fighting her own battle. She brought Li Tang to meet Gao Xia so the lawyer could hear his testimony directly. But when questioned, Li Tang suddenly changed his story. He claimed he had never seen any abandoned baby and suggested that Hong Qin must have misunderstood. Gao Xia was furious. It felt like a waste of time. In truth, Li Tang was simply afraid of getting involved in trouble. Desperate, Hong Qin gave Li Tang her address in Shenzhen and asked him to come see her that night so they could talk privately. Later that evening, he showed up, but he still refused to testify. He did not want problems in a city that was not his own. Hong Qin begged him. She even knelt in front of him, but he would not change his mind. In the end, she felt she had no choice. She offered him something she believed he would not refuse, her own dignity, just to secure his testimony. The next day, armed with Li Tang's statement, Hong Qin and Gao Xia returned to the orphanage to meet the director. They presented the new evidence explaining that Jie Fang had indeed been abandoned, not kidnapped. Under adoption law, that meant Hong Qin could legally apply to adopt her. But the orphanage director had other concerns. He believed Jie Fang would have a better future with parents from Shenzhen, where education and living conditions were stronger than in a rural village. Gao Xia argued that Hong Qin deserved the right to raise the child. After all, she had cared for her since infancy. The emotional bond between them was already deeply formed. Handing Jie Fang over to strangers would only create new trauma. Still, the director refused. He worried about public opinion. How would it look if the orphanage returned a child to the household of someone connected to a kidnapper? Hong Qin was furious. She felt judged and looked down on, even though she had known nothing about her husband's crimes. But her anger turned to shock when she learned something else. Yao Huan was planning to adopt Jie Fang. One day, as Hong Qin and Gao Xie were riding a bus, she happened to notice a demonstration outside. It was organized by Tianwen's support group, raising awareness about child trafficking. And there, standing among the crowd, was Tianpeng. The moment the bus stopped, Hong Qin rushed across the street and wrapped her arms around him. For her, it was pure instinct. But the scene quickly turned tense. When Xiao Huan saw Hong Qin holding her son, she immediately pulled them apart and told the crowd that Hong Qin was the wife of the kidnapper. Within seconds, the mood shifted. Several women in the crowd surrounded Hong Qin. They pushed her, hit her, and hurled insults at her. Overwhelmed, Hong Qin apologized to Tianwen for what her husband had done. Soon after, Gao Xia stepped in and took her away. Seeing how she had been treated, Gao Xia felt something change. He told Hong Qin that he would continue helping her fight for Jie Fang. He even returned the 5,000 yuan she had paid him earlier. From that moment on, he decided to represent her for free. Eventually, the day of the court hearing arrived. It was Hong Qin against Xiao Huan, both seeking the right to adopt Jie Fang. In court, Gao Xia laid out Hong Qin's case. He explained her deep emotional bond with the child and her willingness to move to Shenzhen and find work there, just to ensure Jie Fang could receive a good education and quality of life. On the other side, Xiao Huan's lawyer argued that Hong Qin had only finished elementary school. Even if she found work, they claimed, she would not be able to provide the same opportunities as a family in the city. Xiao Huan also stated that she wanted Jie Fang to grow up alongside Tianpeng, believing that raising the two children together would benefit them both. Listening to this, Hong Qin pleaded for understanding. She acknowledged that her family had caused pain, but she had raised Jie Fang since she was just 2 months old. She did not want to lose the child she considered her own. At the same time, Xiao Huan had already promised Tianpeng that Jie Fang would come live with them. The situation became even more complicated when it was revealed that the orphanage supported Xiao Huan's application. But then, Gao Xia shifted the momentum. He revealed that Xiao Huan and her husband were in the middle of divorce proceedings. Under adoption law, a married applicant needed the consent of their spouse. Without that agreement, the adoption could not move forward. Xiao Huan had no response. Even her lawyer looked caught off guard. The judge ordered her to step outside the courtroom. Despite that, Hong Qin did not automatically win. The judge remained hesitant. Even though it had been proven that Jie Fang was abandoned, not kidnapped, The court was still reluctant to grant custody to Hong Qin. The judge even suggested that Gao Xiao was only defending her for money, a remark that stung deeply. In the end, the ruling did not favor Hong Qin. That loss only strengthened her resolve. She prepared herself to take the case to a higher court, determined not to give up. One night, as Tianwen carried a sleeping Tianpeng home, he noticed someone standing nearby in the dark. It was Hong Qin. He soon realized that she had been coming there every night just to quietly check on Tianpeng from a distance. Tianwen confronted her. He warned that if she kept showing up like this, he might start to hate her. He told her not to come back again. Hong Qin stood there in silence for a moment. Then she gently mentioned something important. Tianpeng was allergic to peaches, and they should never let him eat them. Hearing that stopped Tianwen in his tracks. In that small detail, he saw something undeniable. Hong Qin truly cared about his son, cared about his... She had loved him as her own, even if her husband had built that love on a terrible lie. The next day, Hong Qin went to the hospital with Gao Xia. As part of the court requirements, she needed to complete a medical examination. When the nurse returned with the results, Hong Qin was stunned. She was pregnant. It made no sense to her. She had always believed she was infertile. That was what her husband had made her believe for years. The test results revealed the truth. She had never been the one unable to have children. It had been Ming Fu all along. That realization changed something inside her. For the first time, she felt a strange sense of release. The man who had deceived her was gone, and with a child now growing inside her, she made a painful decision. She stopped fighting for custody and allowed Jie Fang to remain under state care. A year later, Hong Qin was allowed to visit Jie Fang at the orphanage. Maybe it was for the best, leaving her there where stability could be provided. But that did not make it any easier. Saying goodbye to a child she had raised and loved deeply left a permanent mark on her heart. Tianpeng also returned to the village once, visiting Hong Qin to understand more about the years he had lost. And slowly, Tianwen began to see her differently. He came to understand that she too had been a victim, misled by the man she trusted most. In the end, fate had brought them together, and fate had pulled them apart. The end. So the moral of the story is sometimes one small decision, one moment of not stopping, can break lives forever. And love alone is not always enough to fix the damage that fate and lies have already done.